to the LP show.
Gentlemen, fellas, ladies, if you're with us, welcome to episode 4 of the LP show. Thank you for tuning in today. I'm Pilks. This is my boy Lucas, and today we have a special guest. In fact, Lucas is going to introduce him today.
Yeah. This is one of my really good friends, Drew, and
Hello.
you know, like Blano said, special guest, first guest on the LP show, so we're excited about it. We're gonna dive into. It's gonna be cool because we're gonna get another perspective of what we usually talk about, but we're gonna dive into. First, we're gonna dive into the over-sexualization of just pretty much everything.
Right.
Not only in America but in the world. Blano, so if you wanna start us off, kick off with something, I know you got some things in mind, and then we can kind of jump in between us.
For sure, for sure. Before we do that, though, I want to open the gate to Drew to introduce himself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Drew, take it away, man. Introduce yourself.
Sir. Andrew Dunn, Andrew Lloyd Dunn, full name.
Gave the
Indiana
government.
boy, born and raised. Just I'm a simple guy, man. Living LIVI.
Gives the raw thoughts of the just a true American person here.
Oh, man, you work your 40 hours a week. Take
Go.
time for the family.
Yep.
You know.
You know what it is. It's the simple
What
things
it
in
is.
life.
Yeah, man, it really is. Family and friends.
Yep, 100%, absolutely. But yeah, let's dive into it. Blano, if you want to kick us off, or I will, either way.
Yeah, I'll kick us off. Drew, thanks for introducing yourself, and thanks for being here with us today, man.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So as Lucas said, today our topic is going to be the over-sexualization in today's culture, our culture, in America, and even worldwide, right? A couple years ago, before I was saved, before I was a Christian, I indulged in all sorts of things, right? I was viewing pornography, all this other stuff, and I didn't realize the effect it was having on me, right? And then my mind was changed. My eyes were open to how bad it truly was, and for me, I'd never realized how much of it is out there, how it has permeated everything, right? And specifically, I think I brought it up to you a couple weeks ago, Luke. I was on YouTube watching YouTube, and literally right there on the side of the screen, in an ad, was I don't know, like a bikini suit type of ad or whatever, and there was a female, in a bikini suit. I mean, just showing off everything.
Suggestive.
I mean, yeah, just scary. I mean, it wasn't even suggestive, man. She was just showing off the
just
butt.
just showing it all
It
out.
was no suggestion. It was there. It was right
It was
there.
there for you to watch, right there.
It really is, and that wasn't anything that I had noticed, right, until my perspective had changed, until I recognized that it's out there everywhere.
Yeah. No.
Everywhere.
Absolutely.
I don't know what you guys think, but
Yeah,
I
no.
think
Just to touch on what you were just saying, man. Like I was just explaining to Drew before we went live. Just scrolling on YouTube, even. I scrolled on YouTube for what, 20 seconds, Drew, and then we seen an ad instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Drew actually said he had some more things to touch on with that. So if you want to jump into that, Drew.
Yeah, man, of course. Yeah. So just a few times, just scrolling on Facebook, even if it's just simple like a phone game, they have ads. I forget what this game was called. It's like Crime Boss or something like that.
Okay.
I don't know, but their ad was like this guy was in prison, right? And there was another guy behind him, and they made it look like they were doing something, but then they changed the angle. They were trying to break out of the prison. What is the point? What is the point of them doing that?
Trying to entice people. They're trying to I don't understand it. Yeah, no, that's a perfect example. That's a great example. Yeah. And another thing, before we dive deep into this, is just like the mental health consequences of it too, right? Like there's a big mental health thing here too.
Yeah.
Agreed. You guys could Google right now, is porn or sexually suggestive things, are they detrimental to you? And you know how many articles you could see. I mean, there are probably hundreds where people talk about where doctors are cited, stuff like that. They're cited how it is literally rewiring your brain to be hooked on pornography, to be hooked on feeling good about seeing that and exploring that.
And it's one of those
You know,
things, real quick, just to jump in, Blano. It's one of those things where you don't think about it, right? If you do that so many times, and what do they always say? After 21 days, I believe, something becomes a habit.
habit.
So
Yep.
you do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
for 3 weeks, right? You talk about rewiring your brain. If you do it once in a while, that's probably one thing, right? But when you're doing it at a very consistent rate, I mean,
And
you're
multiple times.
truly
Multiple times a
rewiring
day.
you're rewiring your brain, and the dopamines are going crazy,
Well, so
which is how you're
I know-
rewiring your brain.
Right, and it's there's negative consequences to that. And I know we're talking about the over-sexualization just in our culture, right?
Right.
But I specifically want to focus on one caveat of that is like pornography use, right?
Yeah, it's a
How
big
many-
one.
How many men out there have unrealistic expectations of how their sexual relationship should be with their wife or their significant other, right?
That's a big
How
one.
many-
That's a big one to touch on.
Right?
That's a
Yeah.
big
How
one. I mean,
many
we're all
men-
men here, and we could talk about that, right?
You know, how many men have these expectations in their brain that they're not communicating, right? They're not communicating this to their wife, their significant other. One, because I think it's not a healthy basis to relate to base your relationship off of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't really want to talk about that like that either, right? Like,
You're not gonna go to your wife and say, I want to have relations like a porn. Like you're not gonna do that because
No.
it's not healthy. It's just
No.
not healthy.
it's
But
not
they go
that,
into it.
that you can't stay. That's not a realistic expectation.
No.
You know.
No. And it's just sorry, gentlemen, had some technical difficulties there.
No worries.
It's so bad. And it's killing relationships.
Yeah.
It literally is killing
mean,
relationships.
I seen something the other day. I think the divorce rate's at 50% right now. You know, and
Oh,
and
yeah.
shout
I
out
believe-
Drew.
That's just gonna get even more.
Me and Drew both have been in a marriage for quite a while now. So shout
Quite a
out,
while.
shout out
Congratulations.
to us. You know what I mean?
7 years coming up.
Yep. So
Congratulations.
coming up 5 for us. So big-
I unfortunately
big
am not.
teens.
I'm
which
single,
is
you
all
know?
good, no big deal. You know,
Nothing wrong with that
it's
at all.
hey, it's better than being like getting divorced, just marrying and getting divorced.
Which in itself is, I have my beliefs on that. We could talk about, divorce and stuff like that in a later discussion, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
real quick, I had a quick question for Drew actually. Sorry, Drew, you look like you're about to say something. Do you want to say something
No,
first?
go ahead. No,
Okay.
go ahead.
So I had a quick question for you. Personally, I don't use social media like that. Blano, I don't think you use it too much. Drew, I think you're on it a little bit. Do you see a lot in or on social media of over-sexualization? You know what I mean? Like other than the example you just provided?
I mean, 100%, yeah, I would say. And that really, I think that just depends on, really on Facebook, it's really what page you're following or who you're friends with.
Kind of
You gotta pick and choose on
recommendations.
stuff. Exactly. It really all does depend on what you look. They have all different things. You click on this video, you'll get more just like that.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, you could have like that. You could have a kid on there. Click on anything, they'll see it.
That's sad. See, that's the
Yeah.
problem, and that's the problem with but we'll touch on that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But what were you gonna say before I interrupted you?
So, no, you're fine. Going back to the porn thing. So here in Indiana, I don't know if you're aware that some websites are putting your information.
I
to
did
actually
see.
gain the
I
website.
seen that. Yeah, because we just moved to Oklahoma, and so we get to see the news around here, and I think that they're doing that here, or it might be in like Arkansas or something. It's somewhere around here though. I actually just seen that. That's crazy you said that because I just seen that like yesterday.
Yeah, man.
But that's
but
good
don't
because
check
that's
the
gonna you're gonna see a decline in it because people don't want to put their information on that type of stuff.
Exactly.
That's
Checkmate, right?
yep, checkmate. Exactly, man.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, that and it's like Blano said, it's you start setting these unreal expectations, right?
Mm-hmm.
What you see in those those videos and stuff like that is, might be cool to see right here once in a while, but at the same time, it's not a realistic expectation. I think we can all speak on that too. It's completely so far from the real realm half the time. Sometimes, but it's like it's just a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing in today's society. Do you have anything else to touch on with that, Blano? I know you have a kind of an off subject on that you wanted to touch on.
I mean, I could jump into it now. I could jump into it later.
Go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So as Lucas was referring to, I loathe OnlyFans, and I'm gonna catch a lot of flack for that. I really am, because it's so dominant in our culture right now. It's so
crazy.
It's just so it's perverse, but because it's so normalized, right? And people have pushed for the normalization of it, that when you rock the boat, obviously you're gonna piss off a lot of people. But a platform where you're selling yourself is not healthy, right? One, you're the person who's selling images of themselves, videos of themselves. It's creating a lot of issues probably with their self-image, right? And on the flip side, you have a lot of people who are buying into this, who are spending a lot of money to do these kind of things, and
hard-earned money, right? And people are getting enticed. Like, I want to say men. I'm assuming. And it comes back to a dopamine thing too, right, Blano? Because it's like, and Drew, it's one of those things where it's a dopamine thing. Like I said, you do it so many times, that becomes your norm on a Friday night. Like that's what you're looking forward to at work, right? Like you're like, oh, I can't wait to get home and go do that, because that's what I've done for the last 3 weeks. Go ahead, Drew.
It's your Sunday football game, man.
Exactly.
For some people, that's what it is.
Right. No, that's a good point.
That's a great point that you made, Blano. That's a great topic to touch on. I don't know too much about it. Drew, maybe you can speak on it.
I couldn't tell you anything about it.
I've heard stories from people like at work, but they're never good stories, right? They're like kind of weird. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You're making people. You talk about. People talk about there's no jobs and stuff, but those are the people who will never like actually keep like a regular job, right? Because it's this is how easy it is for them to go make money,
right?
And people buy into it.
Yeah, they're sitting at home taking videos, taking pictures of themselves.
How much easier is that than waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning, dragging yourself out of bed, taking a shower, trying to take a shit in time so you can get out the door and get to work in time,
right? Sit in 30 minutes of traffic, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is how prevalent this is. I forget what industry they compared it to. I want to say NFL, maybe NBA, something like that. For 2024, creators on OnlyFans brought in like $5.8 billion in revenue.
Wow.
Compared to, I think it was the NFL or the NBA. One of those two major sporting organizations brought in like 4.1 billion.
Wow.
This is a sex service bringing in almost 2 billion. I'm
you're guesstimating, right?
I'm rounding up, right? I'm guesstimating the numbers, but we'll call it 1.5 billion. 1.5 billion is a lot of money.
That's
folks.
A lot of money.
Lot of money. That is a lot of money, and that's how much more they had than the NBA or the NFL. I don't remember. But that's how normalized it is. That's how much money is being circulated because of this. And what's the damage that it's causing, right? Because like you said, Lucas, that's all I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna go off. I'm gonna get home, and I'm gonna log on to OnlyFans, and I'm just gonna view all these women because it feels good, because I want to see them naked, right?
I mean, essentially, right? Yeah, no. And another thing is back on just the overall subject, like we've been discussing, of the over-sexualization of everything. It's like we've talked about, it affects people's dopamine levels and stuff like that. But like the influence on the youth, right? Like the younger people, that like, dude, that's really gonna screw them up. You're talking about we're talking about the divorce rates and all that stuff right now. Dude, imagine these kids who are coming up, and that's all they're doing, right? They have literally unlimited resources to it. Like, what do you think about that, Drew? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be a scary next 20 years, is what it is.
Hmm.
Yeah, like the kids growing up now, they just obviously they're the more and more I see because I work with a lot of young kids. I
Right,
work
yeah.
at a
So you can
daycare
speak
store,
on
so
that. And you
I
manage
see
them.
them.
You manage
Yeah,
them
and
essentially.
it is. We weren't like them. We both worked together. We were not like new generation coming up. But I understand when people talk about it's always the next generation.
You can
You
really
know,
see a difference though.
it's yeah. This time it's scary. It
It's
really is.
it's different,
It
man,
really is.
because
But
like I work with a kid right now who's 21, and dude, he acts completely. I'm about to turn 29 here in 10 days, and he acts completely like you would think that we're like 15, 20 years apart, not in the
yeah,
same, not in both in 20s.
Hmm.
Born in like '04. I was like, what? I was like, yeah.
yeah.
He was like, yeah. What year were you born? I was like, 1995. He was like, oh, you're a relic, man. You were born in the 1900s. I'm like, what?
Yeah, the late 1900s.
1995, my guy. What do you mean?
Wow.
Yeah, these kids are now 2003, 2004. We're looking like the old heads now. It's crazy. But no, there's seriously a big impact on the youth because it's gonna, like I said, I mean, and that's a whole nother subject we could discuss for another episode. Bring Drew back on, but like just the marriage and everything. Blaine, I'm sure you have a big thoughts on that. But back to the whole OnlyFans things, man. Like you were throwing out some pretty good statistics there. Where were you getting that information from there, Blano?
Um,
Fact check you.
I want to say it was a YouTube short. A
Okay.
YouTube short. So the church I'm a part of, and I listen to a few different like Christian podcasts and stuff that are pretty harsh against OnlyFans, and that's where I get a lot of my
Info.
zealotry from.
I get it.
Um,
Yeah. No, I was
So
just.
I
I
have a
wasn't trying to.
question.
I wasn't trying to fact check you
No,
real quick. I was just curious.
no.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
I,
Drew.
So what do we do about
That's a good
how do we
question.
get rid of only like what is the
No,
option?
no, let me start out
You
here.
know,
That's a good No, that's a great question. That's one of those ones where you have to kind of go like this, and you go, what you do, Drew. Listen up. What you do is you need to have these young kids starting out really with the young kids because I think that's what it really affects the most, right? Like kids who are like probably I don't know, 13 to 21. I don't know an age group, but you got to start limiting the phone activity. Like
Amen.
there's
Amen.
I agree.
all three of us, I believe, have an iPhone, right? There's
Yep.
a thing that shows you at the end of the week how much activity you've done on your phone every week. And I get a thing every
Right.
week. And mine every week is around 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
I love KK to
Yeah.
death. KK's is like 8 to 9
Oh
per day.
wow.
Yeah. So that's
Wow.
that's almost half per day
You
on the
see,
screen. Yeah.
and you put school in there. I mean, that's the whole day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
And
mean,
it's important.
That's
It's
huge when you really start putting that in perspective.
Mhm.
Put
Yeah.
the phones down. That's
Put the
one way
phone
to
down.
combat it. Blano,
Don't
what's
touch
your
my
take?
back.
What's your take on that?
Uh, you know, I, that's a tough question for me to answer because we're not looking at the root cause of it. I don't think. The root cause of it is so much more deep than.
It's a psychological thing, man. It goes down to, like I said, it comes down to it's a dopamine thing, man. It really is. It's what they're like. Drew, I think Drew brought up. It's what they're finding pleasure in, right? Like that's what you're looking forward to. Once you start looking forward to that type of shit, you got to break that.
You gotta chase it,
Yeah,
and
and
how do you
yeah,
break
you like want to chase that, and you have to break it though. Yeah, and it's like how do you? It's like taking that first step, but you have to just take the first step. But it's a lot easier talking about it than doing it, right?
you have to recognize that you have a problem, right? If you, I work with a
God
lot
bless
of
you, Drew.
Thank you. That was a cough though.
Oh, my bad.
uh, so I work with a lot of addicts, right? I work with
Yeah.
a lot of people, who are incarcerated who have issues with illegal narcotics, right? Fentanyl,
Bad
heroin,
stuff.
Um, anyone who works with those people who have substance use disorders, the first step that they're always going to say is you have to recognize that you have a problem. If you
100%.
don't think you have a problem, you're never going to change. You're never going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
So if you don't recognize that you have a problem with jumping in and viewing uh, things of sexual nature, you're never going to fix it. You're never going to want to avoid it because you don't think it's a problem.
Yeah.
But that's what we're here talking about, right? It's a problem.
It is.
If
It
you
is
can't
a big
see it,
problem. It is a big problem. And just to jump on the next subject, I feel like that was a healthy conversation about that. Just for time purposes, we'll jump to the next segment of it, and that's the social media, and how that has an impact on mental health. And again, going back to dopamines in your head and stuff like that, what that does, the dopamine and reward system, right? Like,
Mhm.
I'm sure we all kind of are aware of that, and like we know what that means. It's like you see something, you get the like, you get happy, you get excited, you get that notification, whatever it might
Yep.
be. I just wanted to get Drew, first off, your thoughts on it, and then Blano, your thoughts on it. What you guys think of the rise of it, I guess. Personally, I'm off of it myself. Eric and I both have been off it for like 3-4 years now. Like I touched on, Drew, I know you use it a little bit. Blano, you a little bit, maybe, I don't know.
I
But
don't have it.
but I know you have though in the past. So we
No, yeah.
we can speak on our
No,
past
yeah.
experiences, and Drew can fill us in on the new experiences of it. But yeah, just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
So, growing up, obviously, we were there when MySpace and Facebook, when really social media became a thing.
Boy, you hear MySpace now? That's an ancient relic.
Right.
Okay, easy. All right. But I think it started off. They were wanting something else, not to what it is like right now. I think it really was to connect with your family and friends that were
Sure.
far away,
Yeah.
or
Sure.
even down the street, but you guys just couldn't. This was obviously, I think it was pretty much before actually texting became
A big
a
thing.
popular thing. Yeah. So, and then it kind of just evolved into, I don't know, like one-upping someone.
A
Like,
relationship.
someone has more just
It's like a
yeah,
relationship breakup freaking
Yeah.
thing now,
Yeah.
it seems like.
Yeah. But really, all I do on social media, I'm just there for the funny videos, man. Honestly, I don't.
There for
I'm
the
not
memes.
over there. Yeah, I'm not on there for.
That's pretty much what I
likes.
do on YouTube.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm just. That's
You're not,
all I'm really.
you're not there
and
for the
family.
drama and being
No,
a keyboard warrior and all that
No.
other BS.
Not one bit. I don't comment. I don't lie. I don't even.
Post.
Yeah, no. I think the last time I posted on Facebook was probably maybe about 10 years ago.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
yeah.
Well, Blano, off to you now. What's your I guess perspective of how it's affecting? I'm not saying you obviously because you just said you don't use it, but how you see it affecting other people. I mean, you might see people walking on the road and their necks are bent because they're staring at their phone so much, and what they're looking at. What are your experiences and what you're I guess seeing in the world?
I mean, Drew basically kind of already touched on it, right? It's this, and I'm gonna tie this into the over-sexualization, right?
Perfect.
Excuse me, fellas. So let's say Sally Jane, right, she works out a lot, or you can even take a male, whatever, works out a lot. Somebody who works out a lot, and they put in a lot of time and effort, right? But they actively use social media, and they're gonna take a half naked picture of themselves, and they're gonna post it to the internet, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever social media site they like to use, and it starts racking up likes, 10, 20, 100, 1,000. Now they have 200,000 likes because they've showed a female has showed a picture of her ass, right, in the gym.
200 new followers.
Boom, boom, just like that.
That dopamine hit.
Boom. You're like, man, I got a lot of people to follow my account and to like my picture. That felt good. Can I do it again? What if I change the angle? What if I wear less revealing clothes?
Yeah.
What if I have another girl with me or another guy with me who's wearing a cutoff and he's got his pec showing, right? And he's got the V taper, whatever, and boom, that's 100,000 likes.
Right.
there people are literally training themselves to receive pleasure and to feel good only through this source, right? Only through
Right.
this source. They're not looking for satisfaction for from deepening their relationship with their family or through a solid, healthy work life or going to church. This is
Right.
their sole source of how do I feel good, right?
Yeah.
And they're using their their bodies, whatever, to achieve that. And
Yeah.
then on the flip side, I'm gonna add one more thing and then
Yeah.
give it
Go
to
ahead.
you, Lucas. On the flip side, you have people who don't look as good, right?
Right.
Who are actively using social media. They're scrolling 15 hours a day, and they come across this girl who's got 1.2 million followers, or this guy who's got 2 million followers, and he's a gym junkie, whatever, right? And they're like, man, I wish I was like that, right? Now their self image is being tanked because they're not committing 8+ hours in the gym a day, and they're actively looking at social media, wondering, why can't I do that? Why can't I be like that? Right?
Yeah.
So there's two sides to that.
And it and
There's
it
two sides.
and it really that's another thing that really has long term effects. I feel like on people because that's that self image, right? You start getting that really bad self image of yourself because you're like, oh well, why can't I look like that? But you can look like that, but it's going to take you a long time to look like that. But another thing is, with social media that I have a problem with is, you know, people always talk about, you want to be a part of communities and you want to do this, that, and the fourth. And like Drew said, to me personally, and sounds like Drew too, family and friends really the only thing that matters in my life. I don't really, everything else I don't really care. You know what I mean, like too much. So it's like, if you can have a good conversation with your friends and stuff like, but the people on social media, they're so caught up in that life of, you know, like you just said, Blano, comparing their life to somebody else and looking at it like, oh, well, why don't I have that or why don't I have this? But in reality, the person they're viewing could have a really shit life and they're just showing the glamorous things at it,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like Eric and I, we talked about when we lived in Florida, dude, I could post pictures of the water every day. I could post pictures of the palm trees every day. But like in reality, I'm over here like this fucking, I'm hot as shit. I'm sweating, it's like, but like, what do you
Yeah.
guys think about, do you guys feel like there's a heavy isolation issue, I guess, of like, you kind of, people are isolating themselves
Yes.
from the world because they're so wrapped up in their phones and social media and stuff like that. Blano, you take it away first and then pass it off to Drew.
I'm going to keep it simple. Yes. I mean, it's if you're living your life through your screen and posting your life on the screen, how are you ever getting any real like human emotional connection?
Yeah, no,
Right?
absolutely. I mean, yeah,
You're
is there any personal experiences you've seen? Like, for instance, I'll give you guys one, and Drew, we'll pass it over to you real quick before we go back to Blano. But like, I remember one time, dude, like I seen like this little kid and his I think grandma or grandpa or whatever now. But I went into like Arby's or whatever to pick up some food, and this little kid and his grandma was like sitting there, and the grandma's sitting there just staring off, and the kid's just sitting there looking at his phone. Like, come on, man.
right.
Drew, what have you seen anything in your life, where you've seen some sort of instance like that and you're just like, I can't believe it.
I mean, yeah, for sure. You can definitely. I mean, even with
Especially
my
working in
own
retail.
family, and yeah, just retail. You see everyone either just they're on their phones. Even if you're, I mean, some of my family were at a holiday get together or something. Everyone just locked in. Some people, or not everyone, but just locked into your phone.
And it's like
But
we should be this is a gathering.
yeah, yeah, it's just yeah. But
You're,
yes, at work, you see the kids. They're not working. They're just with their phones walking.
let me ask you this, Drew,
Walking.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Is that something you and Megan keep into consideration? Like being on your phone too much, like when you guys are spending time together. Like I know Eric and I do.
Oh, of course.
Like if we're out doing anything, we'll try to like not be on our phones and be like those other people. You know what I mean?
Of course. Oh yeah, I make it a point for sure to if we're going out to eat or something, you tuck the phone away.
It's a beautiful.
She puts it in her purse. It's in my pocket.
That's a beautiful thing. Other than if you want to take a picture or
Space.
something for whatever,
Well, yeah,
that
course,
makes sense.
of course.
But yeah,
Of course.
no, absolutely, yeah. You know, and Blano, what about you, man? Have you seen anything like that? You know, and I'm sure you have some. I mean, well, I guess from jail you're not going to see many people doing that, but
I mean, you might.
hey, maybe.
That's a problem if I do, right?
Yeah.
If I'm doing a round,
Sphinx
right?
phones.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's a gaper.
Oh no.
so,
I mean, I could hit the nail on the head. You know, I could keep saying the same thing, but I really wanted to touch base. You know, with that young kid, that story about that young kid, right? Here's his grandma, grandpa, right?
Yep.
Who's lived a long life. Let's say they're 80 years old, right? They've lived a long life. How many experiences? How much wealth of knowledge do they have? How much can they impart on that 8-year-old kid? You know, rolling it back to our previous conversation, where kids nowadays are spending 12 plus hours on their phone every day, and
Absolutely.
they're not learning valuable life lessons and how to interact with people in a healthy way. Here's this young kid who's just, use my phone for an example, right? Just so locked up.
Next
When
bent.
you know, here's grandparents who want to spend time with their grandson, and their grandson could care less, right? This is a story I'm hearing. Obviously I don't know.
That's why that's why I was wondering. Have you
know.
seen anything like that, out there where you're
the
at,
time.
or I mean, when you're out picking up food or getting groceries or whatever it might be.
All the time, man. Typically when I'm out in public, I'll have my headphones on as I'm listening to music, right? I'm not sitting there. I'm not walking around like scrolling through TikTok. Right?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my shit and go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm listening to music and I'm viewing people, right? Not like they're people on display, but
People
I'm
watching.
taking in my surroundings, right?
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
gotta be aware of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, yeah, you see it all the time, and it's just steadily getting worse.
No, absolutely, and like I think that the future of it is just like it's damn near a scary thing, right? Like what they're already coming out with the VR Facebook stuff now where people like it's like a meeting place. I'm waiting to see jobs start going to where you're going for work. You're logging into a VR headset and logging into Facebook and going into a workspace.
Yeah,
From your
I
home.
can see that.
Like I'm envisioning that in 5-10 years from now. I'm not even too far. Not too far down the road.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't. Do you guys have any more thoughts on that? I mean, I think we had a pretty good conversation about everything. We covered everything up. Blano, you got anything else you wanted to touch on with anything? I mean, like I said, Drew.
Really, the only thing is, man, just teach the young, teach them right.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
really the only way.
That's a good point. That's a good point, Drew. And even touch base on that. Parents, caregivers, guardians, limit what your child views. Go on their phone. You're not their friend. You're there to teach them and to nurture
Protect them.
I
do it with my daughter.
You are not there to be liked, right? Obviously, people want to be liked by their family and their loved ones, but you're there to teach them and to grow them up, and so they can go out and teach their kids, right? Limit what they see.
Yep.
You have to go in there, put on parental guardianship, and put that shit on PG mode, G mode. You have to for the sake of your child.
And just like we talked about in episode 3, people go back and watch that. But just like we talked about in episode 3. Have just like work-life balance, right? Have a balance. If you want to use social media, you want to use that type of, have a balance with it. But hey, we appreciate everybody tuning in to episode 4 of the LP show. Big shout out to our guest Drusev. Super happy you were able to join us today, Drew.
Thank you. Yes, it's been nice.
Probably have you come on a few more times for sure. This has been super fun. It's cool to get a different perspective, isn't it, Blano?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mixes it up. We're gonna bring Erica on here soon, and dive deep into the psychological things of just the brain and stuff like that. But maybe next time we could bring Megan on with you, Drew, and we could do a duo with you guys.
We can do that. That definitely should be interesting. Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
Bacon's out of pocket sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
That'd be a good one though. But yeah, just like always, we appreciate everybody. Make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe button, have the alerts on. Drew's saying peace and sending the
Sending the balloons out.
balloons already. But Blano, if you want to send us out, it was great talking with everybody, and look forward to seeing you on episode 5.
Thank you guys for tuning in. This has been episode 4 of the LP Show. Have a good night.
This has been the LP Show. Thank you for watching. My name is Phillips. This is my boy Lucas. Tune in next week.